Hi, everyone. I'm Cheryln, your host, your fellow fighter, sharing my weight loss journey with you today. Today, I've invited a special guest, my daughter, Mary, to help interview me so that we can dive deep into my story.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm excited to be here with my mom. I'm going to be asking her some questions about her journey so that we can share it all with you. So, Mom, you are now 49 years old,
Yep.
and for the past 3 decades, you are overweight. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. So, the first 20 years of my life, I was very active and very fit and very healthy. My mom and dad had the tradition of investing in their kids. And for some reason, they decided to invest in dance classes. I took ballet. Since I was 5, I took ballet and tap and jazz. And so the benefit of that for me was I really fell in love with movement. And it kind of set the stage for it. It helped me realize what being healthy felt like. And so they continued to invest in me. And so they put when I was in middle school, they put me in like a professional dance club called Stars. And so we got to go and perform and compete. And so I was, still exercising, and I had a lot of energy and I had a lot of confidence because of that. And then when I was in high school, I was so excited. I wanted to try out for the cheer team. I wanted to make it onto varsity. And I was, because of the confidence, because of my past successes, I was confident that I was going to be able to do well. But there was a part of me that was thinking I wasn't going to make it, because it's pretty rare to get a sophomore onto the varsity cheer team.
Yeah.
But I ended up making it.
Nice.
I know. I was so excited. Yeah. So that time in my life, I had a lot of self-confidence, and it's kind of set the foundation for what I wanted for the rest of my life. So that was my mom. I'm really grateful for my mom and dad for doing that for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you telling us that you started a dance like business or class.
That's right. I
Or
forgot
you,
about that.
yeah, you started. Was it ballet or?
Yeah. So when I was after high school, I went to college, and my mom and dad wanted to start a business, and so we started a business called Chair Bear Dance because
Chair Bear, that's right.
that was my nickname. Yeah, they called me Chair Bear.
Yeah.
So we had we did flyers, and we got like 25 girls to come to our studio, and they actually performed at my wedding.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
I had all the girls come and all their families come, and they performed at my wedding. So yeah, my mom and dad have invested in me, in helping me with lots of things, weight, like fitness, entrepreneurial skills. So I'm really grateful to them for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a peak of your life, I bet, to be healthy and energized.
Yeah, that's something I've always held on to, and it's always kind of been what I've wanted to always be like with health and fitness.
So it sounds like when you were young, there was a lot of physical activity. You're a cheerleader, you're dancing. I remember even I used to wear my mom's old cheer uniform as a Halloween costume because I loved it. When you were young, how were your eating habits?
So yes, as a cheerleader, I was very busy. So because of they were very rigorous, and they were state champions, national champions. So they had a very rigorous schedule. So every morning, and even in the summers, we would be required to show up at 5 a.m.
The summertime too.
in the summer. Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I means I was waking up at 4 to get
Yeah.
ready to go rain or shine through the snow up the hill. No.
Yeah, and she lived in Bountiful, so it gets some snow up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would wake up, go to cheer, we would dance until school started, then we did weightlifting, then I finished school, and then because of our responsibilities as cheerleaders, we would support many different organizations. So I wasn't coming home till 7 or 8, 9 o'clock. And then I had to do my my schoolwork. And one of the requirements to be on the cheer team was you had to have good grades. So luckily for me, I pulled a 3.5.
Nice.
Yay.
That's good.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately at that time, I started my habits of stress eating. So with all that activity and, not being home a lot, I started stress eating. And so that's when I got into Diet Coke. My dad is a Diet Coke lover. And so somehow I got his love for Diet Coke. And so I would have like 3 Diet Cokes a day and really nothing else. And so unfortunately, like I said, was the beginning of the stress eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that hard on your body, just eating Diet Coke and
To be
nothing
honest, I was
else?
so young, it just felt like it didn't really seem to have any effect,
Really?
except that I was forming a habit.
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell, that it was having, I'm sure it was having a bad effect, but I was
You
so,
didn't feel
I
it.
didn't really feel it, and you didn't
Yeah.
really notice it. So no consequence, no change, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So when did you start gaining weight?
it was, well, just a little context. I have 6 kids, and so Riley was my first, and it was right around Riley where I got pregnant, and I didn't gain too much weight when I was pregnant, but it was just kind of hard to get the weight off. And then Evelyn was the next child, and it just kind of kept growing. So I kind of started gaining weight when I started having children,
Okay.
and it was difficult for me to lose the weight because I was taking care of all those kids, which I really loved that role, and it was worth the sacrifice. But it was hard to get to the gym. I had to put food on the table. My husband, your dad, traveled a lot, and so I was kind of doing things on my own, and so I kind of continued the stress eating,
Yeah, just more stress.
more
So,
stress. Like, I don't know if you remember that, but I used to go out into the car to kind of get a
yeah.
nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would look everywhere for mom. Look in the bathroom. She's not in the bathroom. Look in the kitchen, her bedroom. Finally, we figured out her secret that she takes naps in the car.
That was the only place where I could get some sleep and I wasn't interrupted. But then they finally found me.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where I was realizing I had such low energy. And so I decided to go to the doctor, and the doctor told me that I was anemic. And so it was kind of at that point where I was realizing that, I need to do something different, because
Yeah.
I was starting to get some symptoms of bad health, so that's when they kind of first started showing up,
Yeah.
you
And it's
know?
more than just the regular stress of motherhood. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't manage that stress because your body wasn't keeping up.
Yeah. So it kind of really became apparent. So I decided at that point that I was going to make a pivot. And so I decided to give up my Diet Coke. And
Nice.
it was really difficult for me to do. I went back and forth, good moments, bad moments. And then I don't know how long it was, but finally I got to the point where I've never had a Diet Coke again.
Yeah. So tell everybody, when was the last time you had Diet Coke?
Probably 25 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've been staying strong. I do drink soda,
Yeah.
but I've never had Diet Coke.
Diet Coke? No more.
Completely gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably one of the worst ones too, because they say diet is even worse than regular.
Yeah, and I'm sure was having negative. The saccharin was having that sugar.
Yeah.
They say if it's not sugar, it's actually worse for your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I've been really looking into that lately, actually, because I have started sugar-free
oh, nice.
diet as well.
Awesome.
And so I've been seeing stuff like erythritol or alcohol or sugar alcohols or something. I'm not sure. But anyways,
Yeah, they're all bad for you.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they lead to diabetes and
Yeah.
being overweight, weight gain. So I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank you. You actually inspired me to do
Oh,
it.
really?
Because when you were telling me about this a little bit ago, and you were saying, yeah, I was young and I was healthy and I didn't notice. And that's where the habit started. And I was like, well, I'm young and I'm healthy and I'm creating habits, so I want to make good ones.
Yes.
And it was that combined with the fact that I was just consuming every item of sugar that was in sight.
Yep.
And that's what motivated me to kind of join you in health.
Yeah, that's good because I think our family, like my family culture, there's a cycle, right? My family culture made me live that way, and then I helped you live that way. So if we can break the cycle, then we
Yeah.
can, stop these things from happening to the future generations.
Yeah.
So we're transition people, right?
Yes.
Nice.
It sounds like you went through a lot raising us and managing your health at the same time.
That's true. And you have that to look forward to in a little while.
Yes. Well, yeah, hopefully not soon.
Yeah, a couple of years.
But do you think that the sugar addiction was only habits, or do you think it had to do with family genetics as well?
Oh, I love that question because I definitely think it was family genetics. So a little bit about my dad. He was overweight for most of his life, and he really struggled with that. And as a kid, I didn't really notice, or even care. I just loved my dad to pieces, And as I kind of reflected on that, I remembered a story that he used to tell us called Freddie the Ant. And it was about an adventurous ant who lived in an anthill, and he would climb out of the hole, and he would love to go on these adventures. And he would find the candy that the humans had dropped. And so he would just indulge in that candy, And he got, in the story, he would say that he got so fat that from eating that candy that he would like be paralyzed for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then he would go back to the ant hill and lose weight, and then he'd do it again and again. And he took us on all these different adventures. But what I realized is that he told me later that he was actually sharing that story because it was about him. And so he was struggling with, being overweight, and he didn't really have the tools to handle that either. And so it was it was before COVID. I don't know exactly the time frame, but he was getting older, and he got diagnosed with his doctor told him that he was diabetic. So it was at that point that his obesity led to diabetes. And so my mom and him managed that, and it was a very scary time for him during COVID because he was always worried that he wasn't going to be able to get his medicine. And so he was very nervous about that. But then because of that diabetes, you can just see how it kept spiraling. I mean, I think he had like 5 or 6 other diseases that he died from. So I definitely think that it wasn't just the stress eating. It was definitely a combination of stress eating, sugar, and family genetics. And so yeah, I think those are the challenges that I had to overcome.
So if Grandpa is Freddie the Ant, then who are the humans in the story?
Yeah, he made them like they would be us.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And he just did different fun scenarios. But those were some of my fondest memories with my dad.
It's kind of like us with Leah's Adventures.
Yes.
Our dad would tell us bedtime stories. And it was Leah, my younger sister, was always the star of the show for some reason. And we called it Leah's Adventures. But, I mean, not health related, but just a fun little thing.
Yeah, I remember enjoying those. I wanted to write those down because it captured that time in our life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they just bring up such fun memories.
I hated them for some reason. I was always, maybe I was jealous because I wasn't in the spotlight.
Yeah, well, I know that Dad did make fun of other people.
Yeah.
And you were very sensitive about that. So I remember you saying like, oh, I don't like it when he pokes fun, like Michael the rat.
Yeah.
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 That was funny.
I do remember saying that. So do you think Grandpa, when the humans would drop the sugar, it was just kind of like it was always in the house? Or what do you think maybe, like, how do you think his habits formed from that?
Well, he was not a member of the church. So he lived in the army. He drank a lot of alcohol and lived kind of a riotous life. He told us all about those kind of stories. Yeah. He loved meat and potatoes. Like my mom had to have dinner at 5:00, and it was always meat and potatoes.
Really?
So I don't know if those are connected, but those are some of the habits. And like I said, I think he kind of went from alcohol to Diet Coke. That was kind of his.
Okay.
So I remember he liked to get like those beer mugs that were frosty,
Yeah.
and he says, "I like to hold those in my hand because it feels like a beer mug."
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He would just drink water from it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so one of my after my dad passed, whenever we go to visit his grave, we always bring him a Diet Coke.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And
Cute.
when we were at his funeral, we gave him his one last drink.
Oh.
So we definitely opened the can and put some on the grave. But definitely he lived on sugar too. You know what I mean? And he overate. So those are some of the habits that contributed to the obesity and then the diabetes, and then later on many other diseases. Yeah, so sugar is actually very problematic, for us.
Yeah.
And then the cool thing about semaglutide is it was actually created to solve this diabetic problem. And then when they were administering it to people, they realized that it had such a weight loss component that they actually are making versions now just for weight loss.
Yeah.
So there's many benefits to semaglutide. It can cure, diabetes, reverse diabetes. It can prevent us from these other diseases that are related to obesity.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I found it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if people realize, because you're thin, that when your body is carrying around that much weight, it really is hard to do simple things. And then so like for me, like when I was overweight, it was hard to tie your shoes. It was hard to walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
I remember at the point where my dad's legs were swelling so much that he actually couldn't get out of his chair
Oh, yeah.
because everything was just swollen. So yeah, obesity really is terrible. And I think it's related to the sugar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks for sharing that about your family. I think that's really insightful. And it seems like you've had a lot of struggles with energy and fighting this sugar addiction.
yeah, for sure.
So, what steps have you taken to improve your health? For instance, have you taken a test for diabetes?
Yeah, so we're going to skip forward a ways, but like 6 months ago, we found semaglutide, and so we were going to a med spa, and so part of their process was to take some blood sugar to make sure that we weren't going to have any severe side effects. So I was so excited because I was thinking, with this history and everything, that I was pre-diabetic. So they drew my blood, and one thing you have to realize is that I have very small veins. So they drew my blood, and they were fishing around with the needle,
Yeah.
and I had a bruise like this big. Yeah, and so it was a very painful experience. The bruise lasted for a long time, and the sad thing is they lost my blood work, the med spa. So I never actually got
The
results. And so I've always been very sad about that because I wanted to know if I was pre-diabetic. And my inkling is that I definitely was, but it would have been nice to just have some blood work to prove it. Yeah.
Yeah. That would definitely be a key thing to know about yourself and your health. So in order to combat your health and weight challenges, what approaches did you take?
Well, you can probably remember this, but as a young mom, I still am a naturalist, So as a kid, whenever I had a headache, I never took aspirin. I always thought, drugs aren't the way to go. I wanted, fix it some other way. And so that kind of carried into my motherhood. And so I wanted to do natural childbirth and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we lived in Seattle, and Seattle was definitely a place where that was common. Like they had organic farms and juice, like organic juice and all that kind of stuff all over the place. It was really prevalent there. And so it just kind of fit. And I really started to natural childbirth was normal there. Homeschooling was normal there.
Yeah.
All these kind of things. And so we started a garden, and we had like this organic produce box brought to our doorstep. Do you remember any of those things?
I do remember. It was like every week, once a week, we get this box of fresh vegetables. And I was like, where's all the fruit and the orange and pink stuff? Because all I see is green. But Mom was always so diligent about using the vegetables, and she was trying to help us to eat healthy, make good habits. And so I feel like I kind of started to learn about nutrition from that, and when you were helping us to eat healthy.
Yeah, one of my favorite gifts that Rusty gave me was a Vitamix.
Oh, yeah.
He gave me a Vitamix, and then he gave me a juicer for Christmas.
I loved that juicer.
Yeah, so that's been a big part of my strategy to losing weight, was to eat as clean as I could, and then I tried to exercise. So I don't know if you remember that, but I had a treadmill. I wore ankle weights around the house. I was trying to do everything possible.
You even had like a vest of weights, and you'd like go on walks.
Yeah.
I remember one of my biggest memories of my mom's exercise at home was that you would play videos and do
Oh,
kickboxing.
yeah, that's right.
And so you do like home kickboxing. You even went to a gym for it.
Yeah. And that was what I really loved. I went to like a professional gym, and so I felt so strong because like I was lifting up tires and
Yeah.
using boxing and that kind of stuff. And then I decided to quit because they actually wanted me to go up against like a professional boxer,
Oh,
and
like spar with
yeah,
someone?
spar with
Oh,
somebody. And then I was like, oh, I don't want to. I didn't know if I wanted to get hit in the face,
right.
And so I'm like, no. And so I didn't really continue after that. But yeah, I was trying crazy things to try and lose weight.
I
you know?
remember our garden too. We did, so it's kind of cold in Seattle and it's not very sunny there.
Yeah.
So we used chires to like keep the strawberries warm.
Yeah, I remember
I thought
that.
that was genius.
Yeah. And it was so fun to go out and pick the strawberries off and
Yeah.
put them into your smoothies. And then on the side yard, we had like
Oh yeah, the watermelon.
the watermelons and the cantaloupe, and that was fun. But it was difficult because some of the young kids would come in.
I was just thinking that. I was like, those neighbor kids always came over there, and we had grapes too. I think they tried to
Yeah.
eat our grapes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was so like waiting for one of the melons to be ripe, and then he picked it right before it was
Oh.
ripe. I was like, oh
This is
no.
not a community garden.
That's right. But I understood because I had lots of kids that picked people's flowers.
Yeah,
I
and we
wasn't
had-
judging, but
You welcomed kids, neighborhood kids, all the time. Like
Yeah.
any time of the day, they were at our house.
yeah, for sure.
So
But those were good times, weren't they?
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at my childhood with fondness for sure.
Yeah, it was a really good time for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So despite your efforts to eat healthy and to exercise, you were still 50 pounds overweight. How did that make you feel?
It was really discouraging. I felt like, I would look at other moms that had lots of kids, and they were able to keep the weight off. I feel like it was kind of at that point where I was discouraged and I started to hide. I wore bigger shirts to try and, change my shape. I wore a lot of black because I thought, people say that black is, thins you down.
Slimming, yeah.
Yeah, slimming. So I tried all those techniques, but it was very discouraging. Had a lot of shame around that. Yeah, so it was very discouraging, and it seemed like no matter what I was trying, eating clean, every traditional method I was trying, I don't know if keto was around back then, but yeah, everything I was trying just didn't seem to help me out. So I felt stuck. You know what I mean? Yeah, and oftentimes I've thought about when I was young and the benefits, and I just was never able to achieve that goal. So I was very, very discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be really difficult, especially like you said, you're seeing other moms that could bounce back and you weren't. So,
Yeah, one crazy story was, this is way in the future, but we lived in St. George, so I was way older, and there was this lady that was really pregnant, but she was literally doing all doing all this aerobic exercise, like touching the ground and all this stuff, and I was just looking at her like, wow, that is
yeah,
so amazing.
that is amazing.
And I was so impressed, and I just thought, I just wish I had it might not have helped, but it's like, she did seem like she enjoyed it. And I didn't know what she looked like after she, stopped, had the baby, but I'm sure she probably slimmed down. So yeah, definitely jealous of other moms.
Yeah. Comparison is always hard to avoid.
Oh, for sure.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So I know even recently we got a membership to an expensive gym, and you signed us all up so that we could start going there together. Just as always, you're committed to exercising and losing weight. But what would you say, like that was pretty recent, and recently you've been on this weight loss journey. What would you say was your lowest point?
Yeah, it was right around that time when we were, it was after COVID. And so I was at the point where I had a lot of teenagers or young adults. And so a lot of them were moving out. And it was at that time where you, Leah, and Abby all moved to Utah. And so at that point, I was working full time, and I was a video editor. And so best place for a video editor is in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally how I felt. I felt like I was in the dark. I was by myself. You know, my family was changing, and my health got worse because I was sitting at a desk. So my legs started to swell, and so I tried to do this self-will approach where, you know, I would put my feet up while I was editing, or I bought this desk that could stand up and lower to try and, you know, but my health just seemed to be going in a wrong direction. And your dad was traveling a lot, so I just was in the dark by myself, kind of fell into like a state of depression, you know, and I lived like that for a long time, and the job was very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And
How long were you working that job?
I think I was working that job for 5 years.
Mm.
So
5 years of that stress and
yeah,
feeling alone.
and yeah, like I just said, I did enjoy the storytelling with the video because I was also a content creator and I would post it on the internet.
Mm.
So I did enjoy that part of it. It really filled my soul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like that was the point where my health really took a dive.
Mm-hmm.
I went and injured my knee. Do you remember that when we went skiing?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all these things were happening, and that was probably my lowest point. And so I had this crazy thought one day that I am just going to move to Utah. And so I got Rusty on board, and Livy, I think she was the only one at home at that time. So I got them on board, and it was literally a miracle for me. So
And I'm so glad you did.
I know, right?
I like to take the credit and say you followed me here.
Yeah, you were a big part of it for sure. Yeah, and so it was really a miracle in the sense that we're on a trip in Spain. We were able to take care of all of our finances, get out of our house, find a new house in Utah, all within like 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like totally.
That really was a miracle. It was like New Year's Eve when we moved because we were going to be in the new house January 1st.
Yeah.
And so Christmas was like on the road.
Yeah.
And we got a flat tire. And
exactly.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. But looking back, it was just miraculous because there was no way that we could do all that stuff so quickly.
Yeah.
And so we moved to Utah, and the expensive gym membership that we had in Las Vegas, I transferred over to Utah. So I continued to do the same thing. And then Rusty, your dad and I, we love to get our nails done. So we were looking for a shop that stayed open late because everything in Utah closes early. Mm-hmm. And so we found a shop that stayed open a little bit later. So we would go to them, and that's where I met Lo. Mm-hmm. She was a nail technician there, and we overheard her telling people about her weight loss journey and how she found semaglutide and how she was talking about how easy it was to lose weight. Mm-hmm. She didn't have to diet. She didn't have to exercise. She just got this skinny shot, and the weight started dropping off. And we would go back month after month, and we would notice that she was losing weight. And so this glimmer of hope came into my heart that said, you know, hey, if that nail technician is doing it, if Lo is doing it, then maybe there's hope for me. Mm-hmm. And so Lo was a really instrumental part in that.
And she was on your podcast recently.
Yeah, she shared our story. So yeah, if you want to go see her story, it's really incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Who would have thought that you'd get your nails done one day and it would change your life?
I know, right? I know. The power of example or, you know, connecting with other people, you know, showing the results, you know, does help transform other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started doing semaglutide. Lo was an example to you, inspiration to start that.
Yep.
How did you feel starting this medication? Did you have any skepticism? Did you have any doubts?
Yeah, for sure. Because like I said, I was a naturalist and it was a drug. Mm-hmm. And so that was probably one of I think I had 3 big hurdles to get over. But that was the first one where it's like, it really rocked my belief, you know. And I felt like, because I kept seeing low, it kept challenging me. You know, I was like, I'm a naturalist. I don't do that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
kept seeing her getting the results. And so I'm like, well, maybe I need to broaden my, maybe I need to embrace something new, try something controversial. There was a lot of controversy and still is about semaglutide and tirzepatide. And so I kind of leaned into that. And it was another cute thing was Rusty obviously was at the nail salon with me. And so he didn't have those kind of reservations. So we got this flyer in the mail and, it was advertising the shots and how much it were. So as I was talking to him about my reservations and that kind of stuff, he'd always put the flyer like in front of me.
Really?
Yeah. And he's like,
At home?
at home.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, we still have the option. So he was still like
Yeah.
putting the flyer in
I
front of
kind
me.
of remember that, actually.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So I would have a concern, and he's like, hey, there's another solution, in the drawer that you put the flyer in. So he kept, encouraging me to think about that. And then the other thing was the investment. I was like, oh, we can't afford this, it's too much of an investment, and then you kind of get in that trap where it's like, I have so many other things to invest in. And then I just kind of realized, hey, I'm worth it.
Yeah.
It's like I've been trying to lose weight forever. I'm worth it. And so I kind of had to reevaluate and kind of put my health first, put myself first. And then the final thing that kind of happened that made me just do it was I realized that it's almost the exact same money as the gym membership.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm already spending that kind of investment in the gym that isn't proving any results. So why am I, so afraid of this? And so once I put all that together, all that stuff came together, I went and signed up. And so Rusty and I went and signed up together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the last thing you needed, was to
Yeah.
know you were already making that investment.
Yeah.
Why not do it for something that works?
Yeah. So, yeah, all those pieces came together, and Rusty and I went out and we signed up, like, I think the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's another fist bump
I
right
know,
there.
right? Yeah.
Well, that's so exciting. And I'm really excited for you guys that you've had this journey. So you said you signed up the next day, started taking this drug. What was your experience taking the drug? How did it make you feel, your body? How did your body react?
Well, the first memory I have is we took the drug, and then later that night we went out to pizza as a group. I think you were there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we were getting our normal portions and all that kind of stuff. And I remember I could only eat like a little handful. So my appetite was really suppressed.
Oh, actually, yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember because Talmadge was there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had we were out to pizza. I could feel my appetite getting suppressed. And I was very excited because I thought, okay, it's working, and that kind of stuff. And so I continued it was winter or whatever. So I would like walk up that hill in Draper. So I was doing that. And I didn't really notice the scale dropping, but I noticed that my clothes started fitting looser. So my body composition was changing. My arms were getting smaller, but, I wasn't necessarily losing any weight on the scale. So that was kind of my initial.
That's interesting.
Yeah, my first initial reaction was I noticed that my caloric intake went down, and I didn't really think I ate big portions, but once I started, there was a big contrast. I could eat like a whole pizza, and then I could only have this much. I kind of realized that I was eating a lot more stuff than now with the semaglutide. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So your appetite decreased.
Yeah, severely. And then, and then the body composition. So those are the first initial things that happen. So when people do take semaglutide, those are some of the first symptoms that they're going to recognize. Not symptoms, but those are some of the benefits they're going to recognize is the appetite suppressant. And then your body composition will change, even though you're not technically losing weight.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because that could be inflammation. It could be water, bloating.
Yep.
So it's like you're not physically losing fat,
Yeah.
but you're still like decreasing your
Yeah, and like I
size.
said, because I was sitting at the desk and
Mhm.
my feet were swelling, it literally just started to go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so all that stuff of a hydraulic desk and putting
Mhm.
my feet up, and
Yeah.
they weren't as effective as the semaglutide.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
so definitely a lot of inflammation. Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's the benefit.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then did you have any was it difficult to adjust to semaglutide?
yeah. So there are some side effects to semaglutide, and the two that I kind of struggled with was nausea and throwing up.
Mhm.
Excuse me. So I had a lot of nausea, and then the second one is that I was kind of a super responder, so I had no appetite,
Mm.
and so
So your case is unique.
yeah, I think the drug really took to me. Maybe because I've been a naturalist, I don't have a lot of drugs in my system, but I
Mhm.
really responded to it.
Okay.
And so because we were so at that point in the journey, we were going to the med spa, but they sent us home to do it by ourselves. So we didn't have a lot of education going on. And so I didn't realize that I was eating fatty foods, fried foods. Sugar actually causes nausea.
Mm.
Then I was eating too quickly and too much. So that was also causing the nausea. So in a lot of ways, my eating habits were causing the nausea and the throwing up.
Mm.
And so that was, and then through self education, I finally realized that I needed to cut out those foods. And then the longer I worked through that, the more my body didn't even want those foods anymore.
Mhm.
But I was seriously, I had been having nausea and wasn't eating. So my, was very tired, and so I was literally going to give up.
Mm.
And I was like, I can't do this. It's not worth it.
Mhm.
And so Rusty was doing it with me. And at that point, he was losing more weight than me.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so he was encouraging me to keep going. I said, I can't do it. I'm tired.
Yeah.
And then that my competitive side came out. And I said, well, I don't want Rusty to beat me,
Yeah.
you know? So I kept trying it. I kept doing it, kept working through it. And I'm a very determined person. And so I
Mhm.
felt like that was a benefit at that time where it kept me going. I know that a lot of people, the number one reason why people drop out when using the GLP-1s is because of nausea.
Mm.
So I share that story because if you keep going, it will even out, and the drugs can actually. So my appetite for those things actually changed, my taste buds. So, because like when I have sugar and then I was nauseous, that was the consequence that I needed to actually not want the sugar.
Mhm.
So, I feel like that's been the process for me to actually reverse the diabetes too, because I'm not interested in taking the sugar and the
Mhm.
stress
So you're saying
eating and the
that
sugar.
even though you're getting a skinny shot,
Hmm.
your eating habits still matter.
Yeah, they still matter. Yeah, you still. And like I said, because I was a super responder, I didn't have any appetite. I had to eat just because it was time.
Mm.
So that's another strategy was like, it's time to eat, even though I'm not feeling hungry. And then make sure you get the best nutrients possible
Mhm.
because your body needs the nutrients.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. And then I've never been a real meat eater,
Mhm.
but I've leaned into that. And so now I'm trying to get high protein and I'm eating a lot of meat.
Mhm.
So, and I think it's been helping. So, yeah, you definitely need to worry when you're doing the drugs, the skinny shots. You need to think about exercise and diet.
Mhm.
It's not required, but it's just going to be for your benefit.
Yeah, and probably in the long run too, your body will be healthier.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, those are some of the
Yeah.
side effects that I've had and the strategies that I've used to manage them.
I love to hear that your competitive spirit helped you to be motivated and take the initial step into semaglutide. Tell me a little bit about the positive effects that this has had on you.
Yeah, I can't express enough how this has transformed my life. I am a completely different person. You can see in the before and after photos, but my body composition has changed. I have more energy. And when I work out, I actually enjoy it. That's the biggest benefit is that it's actually fun now because my body can do those things again. So, yeah, so have more energy. I can fit into those, clothes again that I was excited about. One of my favorite stories was I was actually going out and shopping for some clothes for your wedding.
Okay.
And I was at the mall and I was saying, hey, wanted to ask in the sales associate, hey, can you help me find a top for this? And she's like, oh, you're a small, right? And I'm like, yes, I'm a small, so I've been waiting like 3 decades to be able to say, yes, I'm a small, And so that was a very pivotal moment for me where I realized that semaglutide has helped me get to that. And it's been a long journey, and it's been transformational. And so I guess the other thing I wanted to bring out is I'm wearing this dress today on purpose because, and it kind of represents
Is
symbolically.
this the one that you bought because you're small?
No.
Oh.
So this is a different story. So I wore this dress on purpose because it's kind of symbolic of I'm almost to my goal weight. So I guess the story is that Olivia, it was a high school in high school at that time, and she was going to DECA, and so she needed some professional clothes, and so she bought this dress off of Amazon.
Oh, this was for her.
That's for her, and so she was looking at it. For some reason, she didn't like it, and so she turned to me, and you could see the wheels turning in her head, and she's like thinking to herself, oh my gosh, my mom could actually fit in this.
Oh, nice.
And so she said, would you like to have it? I said, yeah, I would like to have it. And so at that moment, I just kind of realized that I did it, I changed my life. I have better health. I feel more confident. I'm not hiding in front of the camera anymore, and it's been a symbol of success to me. And so it's me and Libby's little joke now that she helped me go out and buy some new clothes, and they're kind of trendy, and so she that's our little joke. But it's taken me 3 decades to achieve this goal, and so this dress represents 3 decades of hard work. But a good ending. So I'm so grateful for that.
You did it, Mom.
I know I did it. Yay.
This one gets a hug.
Uh-oh.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Well, was there anything else you wanted to mention about your weight loss journey and how it's helped you?
Yeah, I did. I'm going to read these, but I did want to wrap up. I wanted to share 5 tips and benefits from this. So I would like to leave the audience with 5 tips. Explore all options available. If you're struggling with weight issues, trust yourself, listen to your body, and seek professional guidance. Taking steps towards your health can lead to transformative changes that you may not expect. Number 2, to those considering semaglutide or any new approach to weight management, be open-minded and proactive about your health. Embrace the journey, even if it feels uncomfortable or controversial. The results can be life-changing. Number 3, it's never too late to make a positive change. Believe in yourself, stay committed to your goals, and don't let setbacks discourage you. Each small step forward is progress towards a healthier and happier life. Number 4, prioritize your health and well-being above all else. Seek support from loved ones and healthcare professionals. You deserve to live your best life, and sometimes that starts with taking a chance on something new. And number 5, don't underestimate the power of persistence and resilience in your health journey. Celebrate each victory, no matter how small, and keep moving forward. Your path to better health is unique to you. Embrace it and thrive.
I want to say something really quick. Okay. So when you were talking about how you were at your lowest point, you were sitting in the dark, and it was a low point for you, but you mentioned that you kept trying willpower techniques, that you would change yourself to fix your problems. And it just made me think that you are one of the people, like, out of everyone I know, you have the most willpower. You set your mind to something and you do it. And so I can understand that it's so frustrating to have so much willpower, do so many different things like eating healthy, growing a garden, exercising, wearing ankle weights around the house, and not seeing the results you want. And so semaglutide was that thing you needed just to push you over the ledge.
Yeah, it
And
totally was.
combine your willpower with
Yes.
medicine.
Yeah, because I feel like I learned from Oprah, the Oprah Winfrey special, that sometimes willpower isn't enough because your stomach communicates with your brain when it's full, and that could be broken for me. Yeah, I mean, and so there was something that willpower couldn't fix, and I think semaglutide helped me realize that, and it took the shame out of it because it's like it's not my fault. Yeah, I mean, because there is a stigma around people who are overweight that they're just lazy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and so it just helped me take away the shame and realize that something was, I don't know what it was, but something wasn't working for me, and the semaglutide really did fix it. So I'm so grateful that I found this drug, and I'm thankful for this transformation, and I'm so much happier. And like I said, 3 decades to achieve this goal, but I did it. So Mary, thank you so much for your insightful questions and for taking the time to interview me and be my daughter. You've been an inspiration to me. You mean so much to me, so I'm so grateful for that. Fellow fighters, lace up your gloves, put on your game face, and step into the ring. And remember, you are never alone on your weight loss journey. If you join Breakthrough Medical, we are in it together. Let's step up, face our challenges head on, and make every round count.